Our first question comes from Jacob Unruh of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, Braydon, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, good. Hey, today you guys, the university announced all the name and likeness stuff with that influencer company.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel like that can benefit you?
I feel like it can benefit the players a lot because for a long time, the players kind of been fighting for some rights, and I feel like it gives the players more freedom to express themselves and, you know, just provide for their families if they need to. So,
have you used it much yet?
No, I don't think it goes into effect until next year, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you look at that stuff. Have you guys talked about it much as players too? You trying to take control of that stuff?
We haven't had many conversations about it yet. Like I said, it's still in the works right now. So.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Our next question comes from Jason Elmquist of the Stillwater News Press. Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, Braydon, thanks for taking your time after practice. Last Friday, you guys broke off into little small groups and whatnot, getting away from practice to just kind of talk about social things. How important do you think that was? How impactful do you think that was for yourself and some of the guys in the group that you were with?
I feel like it was very impactful because it allowed us as players to come together into different small groups and get to learn more about each other because we all come from different backgrounds and different cultures. And it's good just to come together and talk about things like that and things that are going on in the world because it brings us together as a team. It brings us closer. And a lot of guys didn't know much about each other. So I felt like it brought us together more. So it was very impactful for me, and I can speak for my group. I feel like it was impactful for them too.
Well, and kind of building off that, it was reported that it wasn't just position groups with their position coaches. It was a mixing of position groups and coaches. So, I mean, how much did you learn of some guys that maybe you didn't really interact with before because of the fact they weren't in your position group?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I learned a lot. I learned so much more about my teammates and their backgrounds, where they came from, some of the things they've been through in their life. So, like I said, it was a good thing. It was good for diversity-wise, just to get different people together, you know, that you might not always talk to every day on an everyday basis and just learn more about your teammates. So it brought us together closer as a team, for sure.
Thanks for your time.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question comes from Frank Bonner of the Tulsa World. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Braydon. How are you?
I'm good.
You came on real strong at the end of the year last year, and, you know, they needed you, especially with Wallace out. So going into this offseason, how excited were you to build on what you were able to do at the end of last year?
Man, I was very excited. Feel like that boosted my confidence a lot, just making those plays during the end of the year. And I was just ready to put in work with my team and just get better and get them better, lead them, so we could all come together and get a Big 12 championship.
Is it different? I know you're used to having Casey Dunn as receivers coach, but now he's also offensive coordinator. Has that been any different for you, or is that pretty much business as usual for you?
I mean, it's basically the same thing. He's still in all our meetings, and the only difference is sometimes he's up in the box. So, I mean, the communication has been good, so we haven't had any problems. It's been running smooth.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
Our next question comes from Scott Wright of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Scott.
Braydon, was there anything in particular that you really wanted to focus on in your game over the off season, and how has the preseason gone for you?
Most definitely, I'll say my biggest focus was my releases and just practicing catching the deep ball because I feel like that's my strong suit. So those are my two main focuses. And over the off season, I've learned a lot more just from being in the meetings and learning from Coach Dunn. So it's coming along very well.
And Coach Gundy talked a little bit about Brennan Presley. Can you talk about what you've seen from the young guy and what he looks like out there in the slot?
Oh, yeah, I see a lot of potential in Brennan. He's very quick, very versatile. I think he'll be a big player here, for sure.
Thanks, Braydon.
Yep.
Our next question comes from Joseph Fazio of the Ocali. Go ahead, Joseph.
Hey, Brian, can you just talk a little bit about the change in maturity you've seen from Spencer Sanders coming from his first season last year up until now?
I think the game has really slowed down for him, and he's really starting to fit into the offense very well. He sees everything more clearly. He makes a lot better reads. He just seems way more comfortable when he's sitting in the pocket. He's not as quick to run now or scramble. So I feel like he's coming along very well.
All right, thanks, Braydon.
Yep.
All right, our last couple questions for Braydon. Our next question is going to come from Jenny Carlson of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jenny.
Hey, Braydon, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Hey, we know you're an Arlington guy, but I was looking at your bio a little bit ago, and I realized you were born in Oklahoma City. Can you tell us a little bit about how it came to be that you were born in Oklahoma but then moved to Texas?
Oh, yeah. So pretty much my family, my mom's side of the family is from Oklahoma, so that's kind of where I was born at. And then by the age of 2, like I said, I don't even remember. She moved. She met my dad, and he was in Texas, so she moved to Texas to be around him. So I grew up, ever since I was 2, I grew up in Arlington.
Do you feel like you're Texan or like you're Oklahoman or a little bit of both?
Definitely Texan.
Okay, I have a second question that's completely divergent from that. And looking at your bio, I also realized that if my math is correct, this fall may be the first time you vote in a presidential election. Is that, speaking of what you were talking about earlier with Jason and his questions and social issues, is that something that you've given much thought about, and just the importance of that? Is that something you thought anything about?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm going to vote, and I feel like it's just good to vote. I mean, that's all right. So I'm not against it if people don't want to, but yeah, I feel like I'm going to vote this year for sure.
Is that a conversation among teammates at all?
No, we haven't talked much about that.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Sure.
Braydon, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us a little bit. We really do appreciate you.
Welcome. Appreciate you.
Hunter, how are you doing?
I'm good.
It's like stepping to the podium where you got to fix the microphone because you're a little bit taller, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I hear you. All right, so we've got some media folks here on the call. So if anybody in the media has a question, please click the raise hand button. This is Hunter Anthony from the offensive line. Our first question is going to come from Jacob Unruh of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hunter, how's it going, man?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. Hey, we heard from your brother a little bit this weekend, join the program, but not from you. So what does it mean to have your brother join the program for one final year with you?
It's really exciting to have my big brother there. He's got a lot of experience too, and I like being coached by some of the older guys. So having him to help me and kind of teaching him the offense too, and sharpens my skills as well. So it's really awesome having my brother here.
I've got to ask real quick. I just noticed, where's your hair?
Yeah, I cut it off at spring break. So I got tired of it. It's a lot of work. So
okay. Another thing real quick too. I asked Braydon this too about the name and image likeness stuff that came out today from the university. You guys getting that app with influencer and stuff. How does that impact a player like you?
I don't know. I'm just here to play. I'm not sure about all that, and we'll learn more about it whenever it becomes in effect, I guess.
Is that stuff you're interested in?
I mean, I am, but still, right now we can't really do any of that stuff. So it's not important to me right now. The season's important, and I'm just trying to be the best player I can to help this team win.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
So.
Our next question comes from Jared Alatorre from the O'Colly. Go ahead, Jared.
Hey, Hunter. There have been some shifts around the offensive line and even some competition for some spots around the offensive line. Are you concerned with how that position will play out during the season?
Dickey's got us all ready. A lot of people can play a lot of positions, and a lot of young kids are going to get opportunities, and hopefully they step up and you'll see some new faces out there, and I'm sure they'll do great.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Robert Allen from Triple Play Sports Radio. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, Hunter, you experienced some of this last year, but talk a little bit about what it's like as an offensive lineman. You always like to see your best work used to its fullest. Talk about what it's like to block for Chuba Hubbard and the, I guess, the thrill you get when he does his thing.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Chuba's a great player, and when you have someone like that, you want to raise to his level. And we got a lot of great running backs. We got LD, who's great. I feel like all our running backs are excellent, but especially Chuba. And it just makes you want to play like to the next level to see him do great, because he is a great player. And if we do our part, he makes a lot of things happen.
The scrimmage last night was kind of a big thing. I mean, there's always that last big scrimmage before you get ready for the start of the season. How do you feel the offensive line played, and what was the feedback and you can tell us about in your meeting?
There's obviously things we can improve, but a lot of people played at a lot of positions, and we're starting to get depth, and a lot of kids know a lot of positions, young kids, and so I'm just excited to see how it plays out this year.
Thanks, Hunter.
Yes, sir.
Our next question comes from Chris Becker of the Ocali. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Hunter, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, with only 25% capacity in the stadium this season, do you think that'll affect you guys at all? And, if so, how?
It will affect us, but I don't think necessarily it will be a bad thing. You obviously wish the stadium was 100% capacity, but just keeping people safe and following the guidelines. And it won't be in effect really here, because when the offense is out, they try to keep it quiet, I guess. But when we're at other places, it gets louder, a lot louder. So, and we practice in a really loud environment, so it will be, I feel like, easier. With us practicing at a very loud environment, when we go and play in the game, it's not going to be as loud as it has been in the past.
Right, and you talked about it just a second ago about Chuba Hubbard. Can you talk about how he's progressed mentally and physically over this offseason to get ready to step back into the spotlight on the football field?
Chuba's been great. A lot of stuff has happened, but Chuba's always been there working his butt off, really pushing a lot of guys to get better. And I really hope that he has a really good year, because he's really hard. We still have a lot of guys, but he's definitely stepped up as a leader, and always a good guy, trying to push us to be the best that we can.
Thank you, Hunter.
Sir.
Our next question comes from Jenny Carlson of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Jenny.
Hey, Hunter, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, so Spencer, heading into his second year as your starter at quarterback, I'm wondering if there are things now that you see him do either in practice or meetings or, just whatever interactions you have with him that you look at and you think, oh, this is how a quarterback changes in his second year as starter. Are there some tangible things you've seen out of him that are different this year?
He's definitely, I feel like this year, leading more, whereas last year he was kind of the young kid. But this year he's definitely leading and pushing people, and, man, he knows the offense really well. And he's stepped up, and he's leading really well. So definitely a solid dude. We can always count on him. Yes, ma'am.
When you've got him in that position, a quarterback always sort of has a leadership role to some degree. You've got a guy like Chuba who's been there long enough, done enough to lead. Tylen in the same regard. Several of your offensive line teammates are also veteran. How does that look when you've got so many guys that maybe have, an ability to carry the mantle of leadership? Does it work together? Do guys step up at different times? What does that look like inside the program?
Definitely guys step up at different times, but also just like all those guys you named, Stoner, Tylen, all the older guys, Chuba, they hold everyone to a higher standard. And it's easier to work hard whenever you see someone like Stoner in his 5th year, like busting his butt just as hard as the first day he got here. And yeah, they definitely are great leaders, and there's a lot of guys to look to whenever you're tired or whatever the case may be that lead the way.
Cool. Thanks, Hunter.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, our last couple of questions. Our next question is going to come from Jason Elmquist from the Stillwater News Press. Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, Hunter. Obviously, a lot of returning guys on the defensive line this year. A lot of them didn't have much experience before last year. So being in the trenches against them, what's been your impression of some of these guys heading into their second year of kind of being starters there on the defensive line?
There's definitely a lot of depth at D-line, which is exciting. Calvin's back. I had to block Calvin a little bit a couple years ago, and he's healthy and he's playing as fast as ever. So Calvin's back, and we just got a lot of depth. Cam Murray, he's a good leader on the defensive line. Tyler Lacey stepped up a lot. But there's definitely a lot of depth there. And then there's new kids, younger kids that have also stepped up and become better players, and are going to have some plays this year.
Has there been anybody that you can truly see and notice a big improvement from last year to this year along that defensive front?
Trace Ford's, I feel like he's come a long way. He's got stronger. He's a good player. And then obviously Calvin, when you don't see him for a year, he plays really fast. He's got a lot of energy, and it's a big spark.
Thanks for your time.
So.
Next question comes from Scott Wright of the Oklahoman. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Hunter, you mentioned that that Coach Dickey likes to have guys play in a lot of different positions. Is that how important is that for you guys to know that you can move somewhere else if you need to, or somebody can shuffle around when you got things going bad?
Well, even when stuff's going right, Coach Dickey likes to keep us on our toes and move us around a little bit, just so we stay fresh and we know everything. And not only when we need someone to play a position that they haven't been playing, but just like if you're playing a position and you know all the other positions, it makes you actually learn the offense and not just know your one position. So when certain things are called, you know what the guy beside you is doing, and you can trust him more. And I think it makes us a sharper unit.
And then for you, settling in there at right tackle, I know you've moved around and played some different spots throughout your career, but do you feel like you're getting comfortable there at that right tackle spot?
Yes, sir, I am. But like I said, he can move us tomorrow, and I feel like I can play anywhere on the O-line. They needed me, as long as with a lot of the other kids on the O-line. So.
Thanks, Hunter.
Yes, sir.
And Hunter, our final question is going to come from Robert Allen. Go ahead, Robert. Robert, you're on mute.
I'm not anymore. All right. Tell me how Josh Sills has blended in with you guys, because offensive line anywhere is kind of a unique club within a football team, a unique group. How has Josh molded in with you guys?
Josh has done really good. Big dude with a mullet. And like I said, with us being able to play a lot of positions, he's played tackle. He's played center, I believe. And so he really there's been times where he's played tackle and he's done great, and there's been no trip-ups or anything. And he's done really well at learning the offense, and he's become a really big leader as well on the O-line, being a really solid dude.
What about personality standpoint? Does he blend in with you guys as far as off the field, hanging out?
Oh, yes, sir. Josh is a jokester, so he's always got a joke about something. But once you figure that out about him, that it's not personal, that he jokes a lot, it was a really good mesh.
Good enough. Thanks.
Yes, sir.